I was hoping you would start tonight.
Good evening. I'm Christopher Balzano.
And I'm Ella Balzano.
And today's episode...
No, I am Christopher Balzano.
I am Ella Balzano.
Welcome to Tripping on Legends. This is episode 88.
Oh, whoops.
And we don't have a title.
Whoops.
So I'm hoping that you guys in the audience can come up with a title as we go. This has been a really weird, go with hashtag follow the signs. Because this has been really an odd episode to come to tonight. And a little bit of a serendipitous, that's kind of the fancy way of saying hashtag follow the signs.
Okay, cool.
Way of coming about this. So originally last week I was supposed to do episode 88 and I had a real fancy title for it. I think it was The Bridge Is Gone and Then She Walks. It was something really long. And it was supposed to be about Lillian Place in Tampa. And it came time to do the show, and there was a little technical difficulties, there was a little bit of a snag, and I couldn't go on. I couldn't go on.
I couldn't go on.
So I shut it off, right? I terminated last week's episode, made an executive decision. I know.
You bought a book for it too.
The book hadn't come yet at that point. And I'll probably tell this story a little bit more when I actually get to that episode. But what ended up happening was I got the book. I got permission to go to the place where the legend is, to actually go into Lillian Place, to actually legend trip within the house, which I never thought would happen. Quickly, boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden I was left with hours and hours of things to look at. A legend that twists and crisscrosses and talks over itself. The Historical Society giving me warnings, all this kind of crazy stuff. And I decided that I wasn't quite at the place where I wanted to present that. Especially because I knew that I had my sidekick here tonight.
Hi.
And I didn't want her to step all over my toes on that legend.
Well,
insult you. I'm starting out straight by insulting you.
Wow, you're so nice.
Because it was a pretty straightforward legend. I wanted to present it in a very clear-cut way. And there was really no reaction for you from it. Although I would love to have you and Devin also come to the house at some point. Okay. Maybe during spring break, we should go and spend a night in Daytona. What do you think? Okay, you realize people from all over the world go to Daytona on spring break.
Really?
They really do. Please don't look up any videos that say Daytona spring break.
It must be expensive. Let's go during spring break.
No, money's not an issue.
Money is
anything
an issue.
for you.
And money is an issue.
It really is.
Money is an issue.
Anyway, so I'm rolling my head about what to do this week's episode on. Because I'm like, I want one, because it's now a Tripping on Legends with kids, because I've got you here. Yeah. I wanted one, I wanted one that would be, that you could discuss, right? That would be relevant, that would kind of be part of our ongoing discussion on the impact of like modern storytelling on the paranormal, right? And it's interesting because one of the things we've touched upon Tripping on Legends a little bit, and it's kind of an assumed thing, right? It's kind of one of those things where we assume the audience gets this, and the audience feels this as well, and that's that ghost stories are not only a reflection of what we think about the paranormal, right? What we fear, what we're scared of, what we believe ghosts can do, right? You look really interested right now.
I'm sure I do.
But also, they mold... Gotta stop doing that. Killing me, my flow here.
Sorry.
But also, they mold it, right? So they're a reflection of it, but then they also control it. And Jen, I see that you're here. You'll be happy to know that I've started to watch Supernatural.
Oh yeah, he was watching it the other night, and I came out and I was like, "What are you watching?" He was like, "Oh, I'm watching Supernatural." So it's fine.
That was a good story.
No. 8th grade.
Yeah, nice job. Gifted kid. And one of the things I noticed was I remember back in the day. I mean, we're talking early seasons of Supernatural. I remember my students coming in to me and asking me follow-up questions of things that they had heard or things that they had seen on Supernatural, asking me if they were true. And I remember the kids walking around. Unless you're a Supernatural fan, you won't get this. But they used to ask me if I went around on these ghost hunts. They were still calling them ghost hunts back then, and I was still a paranormal investigator. But they would say, "Do you go around with a shotgun with salt?" And I'm like,
Wow.
What? Like a shot? Like, why would I carry around a shotgun? First of all, why would I have a shotgun? Second of all, why would I have a shotgun with salt? And now I've come to know that, like, Dean and Sam walk around all the time.
My friend, her name is Gracie. She is obsessed with Supernatural. So she likes to...
Gracie, whose mom's a teacher?
Gracie, whose mom's a teacher.
Okay.
And she likes to rant about how hot Dean is. So I'm sure I've told you this before, but she talks about how hot Dean is. She talks about the show a lot. And she's like, I watched it at the exact same time as my friend. Like, they lined up the calls.
Okay, so thank you for that.
Interesting.
Let's hope that, the discussion can go further tonight than just how hot Dean or
Winchester.
Dylan is. But I started kind of seeing, like, oh, wow, like, it's not that they use the wrong terminology on Supernatural, which they do, to discuss a lot of these things. It's convenient terminology. But I started to realize that we now have a generation and older
Hi.
who Dean is the hottest. Oh my, we're not going down this road.
Wow.
Because Sam broke up with Laura, what's her name, Rory, and so I can't even look at him that way. That's a Gilmore Girls reference.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you got that? That was sweet.
Yeah, I know who Rory is.
Okay. Because Devin would say, Rory, did you have a fire gun?
Yeah, definitely.
I started to go down this road and looking at them and being like, people get it wrong, right? We have a ton of people in this world whose ideas, and I haven't even gotten into the bigger lore of the show, which I know is coming, right? I know bits and pieces of things that happened on the show. This is what people understand about the supernatural and the paranormal, right? This is what they understand about Wendigos. This is understand about the things like the urban legends, right? So, for example, they were talking about the Hookman legend. Do you know the Hookman legend? The Hookman legend? Hookman?
The Candyman?
Well, no, but hello, amazing daughter for knowing that Candyman has a hook for an arm, for a hand. No, the Hookman legend, the classic Hookman legend is two people are about to make out. They're at a lover's lane.
Nice.
They're kissing, they're smooching.
Good for them.
And they hear on the radio that there's a broadcast that there's an escaped mental patient, and that escaped mental
that's
patient
never good.
has a hook for a hand,
Like
right?
the guy from
And
Season of
they're like, "Oh, we're
Unfortunate
just going to ignore it. We're just going to ignore it." What did you say?
The guy from the series of unfortunate events.
Kind of like him.
The hook hands man.
And so they keep kissing again, and she's like, "No, I don't want to." And he's like, "Come on, girl." And she's like, "No." And then he's all frustrated. He turns the radio on, and there's another report about it, and he gets all pissed off, and he rushes away, and he goes to drop her off. And when he opens the door, there's a hook on the door. Like, in other words, the hook.
So, remember when I, read that urban legend book of yours that I wasn't supposed to read?
Yes.
Years ago?
Yeah.
That was there. That was one of the ones I read.
Right, because it is the classic. It is, to some degree, one of the foundations of modern horror urban legends, right? They all kind of stem from the Hookman. If we have, the two people who found modern-day horror urban legends, by modern day I mean 70 years, 70, 80 years, we've got, the Hitchhiker and the Hookman, right? And then, so Supernatural covers this, right? They cover a guy, there's a monster, he's a Hookman, all that stuff like that.
I bet I can
I know
guess.
you. Where's your tea? Did you already drink it all?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you're not having any of mine.
Wow.
They then talk about there's the body is found it happens again, and the body is found on the roof, which is another angle on the Hookman legend. Same kind of situation. They're making out, and then they're scraping on the roof, and when they go up, he goes to discover what's going on. They're scraping on the roof, and he's been hung. He's been gutted open by the hook. He's hanging from the tree. His feet are dangling on the roof of the car, and that's what is making the scratching sound.
Ew.
Both Hookman legends. But then in the same episode, they had the classic, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" Do you know that one? So, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light" is...
Oh, is it the one where, like, she's driving home and there's a guy behind her?
No,
and,
no.
The guy keeps turning on the lights, who's, like, the guy behind her keeps turning on his headlights, and then there's a guy in the girl's back seat, and, like, the guy would, like, stand up to, like, try to stab her.
And every time he did...
And the guy... And
no,
he turned
it's not that one.
Okay.
No, it's not that one. But I once again, congratulations for knowing that.
I knew that one.
I know. Oh,
I didn't read it from
daughter.
I didn't read it from
You're
the
my
book.
daughter. No, this one is about a college student who goes out, she has fun with her friends, blah, blah, blah. Then when she comes back home, she hears grumbling and rumbling and all that kind of stuff like that coming from her roommate's bed, right? Like they share a room, right? And she's like, And so she goes and hops into her bed, puts on her headphones. Obviously, it's updated to earbuds or whatever happens to be the technology at the time. Ignores it, and when she wakes up, she discovers that her roommate has been brutally murdered. And written in blood on the wall is, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" Get it?
Wow.
All right, beautiful. So those legends,
Interesting.
those legends, which are both amazing, are completely different legends, right? There's no, the one is, and yes, they both kind of hit on some same themes and hit on some same thing, but they're not the same story, right? They're not the same motif, if you will. One is about sex,
fancy. Oh, okay.
right? And the other is slightly also about sex. What are you doing?
Okay.
It's slightly also about sex, but more about don't send your women to college because they shouldn't be educated.
Dad.
Which is not what it's not what I believe. I'm telling you that's what the urban legend's about, right?
Oh, really?
Right. That's kind of, we had a whole discussion on this. You need to listen to old episodes. Anyway,
Whoops.
they mixed those, right? Which might seem like a really small thing, except for the fact that in doing that, Supernatural, because I've seen this now, working in this field for so long, I've seen those legends become mixed, right? Where sometimes it's written on the window, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" Because she's all in dark in the car and stuff like that.
Oh, I was like,
so there's an unintentional, or I would say unintentional mixing because of the way Supernatural pushes stuff out and what they understand and what their understanding and what the understanding they give the audience for what legends are, for what a haunting is. They're constantly using the word poltergeist, for example, in that show, for not what a poltergeist is. But it molds, not the movie, the actual creature, the actual paranormal entity. It molds what we think about it. So I'm watching Supernatural, and that's in the back of my head.
And then
Devin,
Devin.
of all people, Devin inspired the show, but he
Devin.
refuses to come out. Devin shows me, he hops in the car yesterday, right? And he's like, on fire. He's like, "Whoa." That's my official Devin voice. And he says, "Dad, you gotta see this video. It's of this creature flying next to a plane.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got, look at, cover your mouth when you yawn."
Sorry.
And it's totally CGI. I think how every special effect is now called CGI, which is actually part of the influence that I'm going to talk about. Image. So I watch it, and it is probably the worst manufactured video I've ever seen. It's literally out the window of a plane. First of all, who films out the window of a plane, right? Films out the window of a plane, and then this alien monster lit thing flies out of the clouds and kind of goes, "Whoa!" it kind of like does a little thing like this and then flies away. In the background, I hear this voice. That was your cue to do Dylan.
Oh.
In the back, we'll try it again.
What
in
am
the
I
back,
supposed to
in the
say?
background. Just say, you don't have to grab the mic every time you talk. Okay. In the background, I hear this voice. Just say something.
Okay, wait, give me a second. Stall for me.
Do I have to set it up differently then? You know?
Yes.
In the background, I hear the voice of internet sensation Dylan is chillin', who has this commentary on the video.
Number 14, Burger King foot.
Okay, I thought we were going to do that one. Right, so if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Wait, I got it. Number 14, Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you want on your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus. But in this case, that's exactly what happened.
If you have that, thank you. That was a good imitation.
I know.
And
so good.
when you start to watch the videos, you start to automatically talk like him.
Yeah.
But he is an internet sensation. He has 5.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and 2 million subscribers on Instagram. I didn't even check out the Facebook page and stuff like that. But he's a paranormal influencer, and what he does is he takes other YouTube videos, edits them together,
And analyzes them.
and presents them in top 15 lists, right? And he's from Canada. His birthday was actually Sunday,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like
Dad was
hashtag follow the signs.
I'm kidding.
And he talks like this. Yes,
Yes,
she's
I
doing
am
chills.
doing
That's what
chills.
we're doing.
That's what
It's
is.
right.
That's his name.
That's
yes.
excellent. We're doing chills, right? And he shows me this video, and it is horrible, right? It is, Colleen, I don't disagree with you, and we're gonna set some ground rules for the discussion tonight.
I do think that bird in the sky may have been a pterodactyl from prehistoric times. Like,
But it might have
it's
also
a bird.
But it might have also been a leaf. Yeah, I don't disagree. Colleen says the guy's an idiot. I don't say that you're wrong in that. But it's almost irrelevant for this discussion. Because
You've tagged him on like all social
what
media.
he's done, huh?
You've tagged him like all social media for
That's
these videos.
fine.
He's gonna hear you call him an idiot.
I didn't say that he's an idiot.
Yes, you did.
I said to some degree, to the most degree, it is. No. It's irrelevant for this discussion because, all right, is he analytical? Not really. Is he unbiased? Not really. Is he sensationalizing things that shouldn't be sensationalized? Yeah. Does he have a deep understanding of the paranormal? Absolutely not. Right? There's no history there. There's no analytical mind or thought process to it. But anyone who is a follower of the paranormal, right? You're part of the paranormal community. A folklorist or a legend tripper like me, or a little one.
That's rude.
It's nearly impossible to overestimate the impact that this guy has on society, right? You don't get almost 6 million people viewing your stuff without influencing the vast majority of them. Look at the TV ratings nowadays, right? With cable and all those things. Network shows don't get 5 million people, I don't think, anymore. We'll see what the Super Bowl gets this weekend. That'll probably beat it, but your average show does not get those kinds of numbers. His megaphone is huge. And regardless of his understanding of the paranormal, which I say is very low, right? he's out there and he's infecting our brains. And he's out there and he's infecting the youth of America, right? For different reasons. But I want to start with your opinion, Ella.
You mean the video that I cried about at the dinner table?
No. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But your overall opinion and how you perceive him and his channel. Like, I want the tween understanding of what's going on. And I would love for you guys to get involved as well. The number is in the chat, but it's 813-418-6822. And of course, you can call that on any time. You can comment on the Facebook Live. We've got facebook.com/trippingonlegends. Instagram is IG. Our IG is Spooky Tripping. And our Twitter is Spooky Balzano. So on any of those platforms, even if you're not joining the show live, feel free to comment on your opinion of this Dylan is chillin' movement, and also things like that, right? And I would love to get what you guys are consuming in terms of the paranormal alternative media, we'll call it, right? So I'm not talking about the network TV shows. I'm not talking about any of the Ghost Hunter variants or the or Ghost Adventures or anything like that. What are you looking at online that is moving the needle for you, or at least entertaining you in terms of paranormal content? So feel free to call in, especially 813-418-6822. Ella, go. What do you think of Dylan? What's your opinion of him? And how often have you watched those videos?
I haven't watched Chills in a really long time until Devin had brought it up. And then, before then, I thought he was just funny because of his voice.
Right, like I've heard you imitate the voice before. I knew what you guys were talking. I knew his voice instantly. I'm like, oh God, not this guy again. Turn it off. But, I mean, did you enjoy him? And why did you stop watching him? Is there a reason for that? What do you mean?
Well, it's the same things over and over again. It's like 5 videos that will make you piss your pants. 15 videos of Siren Head. And I'm like, what?
We'll get to Siren Head
and I was
a little
like,
bit later.
There's sightings of Siren Head?
Don't.
No one bothered.
We'll get to Siren Head a little bit later, but.
But yeah, I got kind of bored of it for a while because there's something like unique. Because it's all the same thing. It's like 5 videos that will make you so scared that you won't be able to sleep tonight, which I probably won't because of one video that I watched. And there's like 15 videos that I bet you can't get through. It's like, okay, cool.
Right. So there's obviously, and that's kind of one of the elements that I think is both borrowed and new of this kind of paranormal. I'm going to call it submedia, but it really is the form of media. My students don't watch TV. Maybe they'll watch Netflix, but my students, they consume YouTube. You know what I'm saying? They consume Spotify. They consume TikTok videos and Snap videos. They don't sit down and watch TV. Long gone. I think we're the only people that watch movies together still. Long gone are the days when the kids and the parents and the dog would all be by the TV watching, blah, blah, blah. So, Siren Head is awesome. Colleen, you have to call in and defend Siren Head then.
Yes, Siren Head is amazing. Thank you.
This is what they're watching, right? And that challenge aspect, long ago, in the days of like the original legend tripping, the original parts of these urban legends, that house, not that actual house, because there's no house there. That house would be haunted, right? That road would be cursed. That cemetery would be too active. And the call went out, if you wanted to belong, you went and you knocked on that door. Or you walked down that road at midnight. Or you spent a night in that cemetery. What are you doing?
I don't know, I'm just thinking of blow up the candle.
That doesn't happen as much anymore, right? That doesn't happen as much because we don't go out. Our kids don't go out. Our kids don't have these outlets. Instead, what you have are challenges, right? So you have the Momo challenge, you have Blue Whale, which is fake, right?
What's Blue Whale?
You have, we'll talk about it afterwards. You have, Bloody Mary, still going strong. Ooh, ooh. But the other thing that you have are these video challenges, right? La 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 la. We both have been watching Evil, so that thing where if you can get to the end of this video, you will be, demons will rise from your bed. Like this kind of this. Let's make it seductive by making it off limits. This is so scary. There is no way. Okay, you can stop now. You can't
I like
stop.
this song.
You can't get through this. It's too scary. That movie that Netflix made, I think it's maybe a Spanish movie, and everywhere it was a movie so scary you can't get through it. You can't get through it. You can't get through it. Which of course,
Megan is missing.
There you go. Which made people want to see it. Did you actually watch it?
No, I have not watched Megan is Missing, and I'm probably not going to.
Nor will I let you, especially after the Great Crow debacle.
Yes, the Great Crow debacle.
For those of you guys who follow the social media and know that we did kind of like a sub show, and we watched The Crow a few weekends ago and had a theme movie night.
Our mom scolded us for watching The Crow.
I got in trouble for letting them watch The Crow. So I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I accept your apologies.
Okay. But this idea that the more you can make it forbidden, the more people are going to want to do it, right? If you legalize something, people will stop doing it. If you make it illegal, more people will do it, right? That whole rebel without a cause kind of thing. It was just a power phase going through the computer.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not, but we're going to keep working through it.
Dan.
Nope, we didn't talk about the thing we're not supposed to talk about, so our power is probably going to be good. Chills does that, right? And that's one of the appeals to it, is this idea that I'm going to do this, and you can't finish it because it's too scary. When it, for the most part, isn't.
And then, like, as he announces the first one, he's like, before I get to number one, follow me on all my social... Mark Muncy! Yo! What you doing here? Okay,
so, Mark
hi.
is calling in. So, we're going to allow Mark. Mark, how are you tonight?
Hey, fantastic. I heard you guys singing some Jonathan Colton, so I had to call in.
Is that what that is? Originally?
Yes, Jonathan Colton, who wrote the theme song from, he wrote the theme songs to Portal, the video games. He wrote one of my personal favorites, I'll Be Your Brains, which is like the zombie love song.
Yep.
And he wrote a bunch of that, and then he got tapped by the Evil team to write that, meme-worthy song.
It is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, so good. That show is by far the best thing CBS All Access had, and now it's on Netflix. I'm glad it's getting another audience, because the only people who buy CBS All Access are just watching Star Trek. They're not watching that, which is 10 times better than any of the Star Trek shows.
I don't know, Mark, why it's not. And Jen says she enjoys it, and there's other people who I've talked to. Anyone who I tell to watch enjoys it. I don't know why the show's not getting more traction.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. It's got a great cast. It's well written. Now, they did do a Comic-Con panel for season 2, but they couldn't film it. So they made their own trailer on Zoom for season 2. If you go look up Evil season 2 trailer, you will not be disappointed.
I literally just told someone, I'm like, did you see how they made their trailer for season 2? It looks like the stars just went, dude, let's make a trailer by ourselves. Forget everybody else.
Yep, it was amazing. I love it. I love, the tech guy doing the sound effects.
Right. Can I give a spoilers to the show a little bit? I don't think now.
I've seen it also.
For anyone else, if you don't want to hear about a moment in Evil, like you haven't watched it yet, block your ears.
Is it the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, probably the best moment of television I've had in a really long time was Michael Emerson at the psychiatrist's office, and he's talking, and you think he's talking to a psychiatrist. And up until that moment,
And then it zooms out.
up until that moment, there's this doubt in the show, like, is it supernatural and paranormal, or is it just the evil that's in men's heart? And it pans out, and there's this huge demon next to him that he's talking to.
And then again, we wonder, is he actually talking about a huge demon?
Right,
Or is it in his head?
mind. And that
The best horror is always that. So.
right, and it's playing that line really well. So yeah, I often and I know those are. What are you gonna say, Mark?
That's why I love the original Haunting of Hill House, the original book, the original movie, and then the new one. It was so it's ghosts. It's just ghosts.
Right,
you gotta
right.
deal with it. It's like, I'm like, no, you're missing the point.
Right. You know, my sister, who I love deeply, has watched the Babadook, I think 6 times, and each time she watches it, she comes back to me and says, "Okay, now explain it again to me." She doesn't know why she likes it, but it's that once again that thing: is it in our mind or is it something else? And I think that's where true horror lies.
Yeah, and your topic tonight with the creepypastas and YouTube videos and all that, that is the modern mythology. That is how we share tales now. That is how we share the fireside chats.
Mm-hmm.
Like me calling in now is like what you and I would be sitting normally at a convention talking after hours, chatting about this, and then hopefully some other people listen in. I remember back to the days at the old science fiction conventions and then Harlan Ellison is sitting at the bar, and he's talking with, Corey J. Ackerman, and I'm flipping out because 2 of my idols are here, and they're just talking at the bar over drinks, and I'm listening in for any stories I can get, and then this crowd of other authors, young and upcomers, are around them, and it's like, we can't do that now. Now they would have talked on YouTube.
Right.
And shared it, and then people would share that knowledge and have it for generations. I wish there was a way for me to share that video of them talking. I just have to tell the story.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, because you do what I do as well in terms of you often will make a video from a location, right? And yours are usually lighthearted with a tinge of terror in them. That's how I would describe them, right? Which is kind of your personality. Now, let me ask you, as someone who is trying to put out genuine content in terms of presenting it as here's the legend that's being told, how do you deal with the temptation to sensationalize it or bring other aspects to it the way some of the people that we're talking about do? Like, how do you fight against that?
And that's been classic. I mean, that goes back to the original, you and I doing research. We read these newspaper articles about the wild man they captured,
Right.
Cheesy, and, they send him to the governor's office. There's this story, and so, of course, the story is this captured furry guy, and, there's this artist illustration, he's 10 feet tall, and the 2 guys next to him. All we have is one newspaper article. Was it real? Did it really happen?
Right.
We don't know. Because several other newspapers picked it up and ran with it and changed the size. He's 12 feet tall, he's 13 feet tall. However far it went, it got weirder. And that's the same thing now, but now if it bleeds, it bleeds. Or if it bleeds, it leads, sorry.
Right.
That's just it. It's the same thing now with headlines. So
it's
people are changing the stories to make it more exciting, because otherwise you don't get 10 seasons on Discovery Channel. You get 3 episodes on National Geographic if you're lucky. And
it's interesting. I was doing a for the new project, I was looking at these murders, right? And so it's all about the capture of Gerard Schaefer and speculation that he might have done more, right? And the original article is from the West Palm, right? and then AP must have picked it up, and then a whole bunch of other from Utah, from Ohio, from California, are all picking up the AP story, right? But each of them must have a certain amount of words or spaces or column inches they can dedicate to these AP stories, right? So each of them are cutting little bits of the story out.
Yep.
And
Or adding other things that have nothing to do with it. Yeah, exactly.
Right, and so it's really interesting that even in true crime and stuff like that, trying to track down facts from years ago, you run into that same thing. What exactly is the story?
Yep, and it seems like what we've been writing, my new project, we're writing about a very famous case, and of course, a famous author comes in and writes the case from his perspective.
Right.
But the stories I'm finding are debunking all his stuff. So do I, go against this famous guy who is like the definitive author on this subject for my book, or do I just, because people when they read my book are just going to want, oh, that's the story, great. Well, do I debunk him?
Right.
Well, I think I do because I've got different witnesses and I've got other things that, stuff didn't just stop in 1965. It kept going to today, and,
Do you know what he's talking about?
it's,
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about,
I'm
but
spaced out.
what did you say?
Book comes out in September, but let's just say it rhymes with the sloth man. So,
My daughter is a rhymes with sloth man fiend. That's why I'm like, do you know what he's talking
Oh,
about?
rise with. I don't trust you now. The rise with slot man.
Sloth man.
Oh. Oh.
It's interesting. Like Mark, I don't know if you caught the show 2 weeks ago, but we started discussing you and me, you and I, and the power went out. And we never got to finish the show.
synchronicities, baby.
What did you say?
Synchronicities, baby.
It is. It's. We tried to discuss this situation several different times, and the power keeps going out. So, all right, Mark, I gotta keep going, brother. But thank you very much for calling.
It's a pleasure, gang. You all have fun. Keep up the good work, and I'll catch the rest of the show on repeat. Bye.
Excellent. Bye. Have a good one, man. Bye bye. Yeah, that's really.
I can't believe I didn't.
Get back in camera.
Can't believe I didn't.
But that's. I think that's totally relevant to what's going on because even evil is changing our minds and our viewpoint on this. And I was to get back to chilling. Dylan is chilling.
Dylan is chilling.
15
Dylan
minutes,
is chilling.
15 this.
15
We should have done a
minutes
15
can
thing of
save
it.
you 15% or more on car insurance.
So I can't remember what the next thing was because it was essentially a 15. He does, if you don't know him, he does these top 15. Usually they're 15, right? Of whatever
He did a top
Mothman
15
sightings, of videos that'll make you cringe,
of
over
siren head sightings.
siren head sightings, things like that. And what he does, and part of his appeal, is he cultivates these videos from all across the internet, which means people strive to be picked up by his show, right? Like, that's the easiest way. And sometimes he's picking up things that go viral, and so he's just kind of keeping the momentum going. But other times, he's finding a video, and he makes it go viral by the mere fact that he features it, right? And it's interesting, because I then went today, when I had some free time, and I looked at some of the videos, and I looked at the sites of, and the web pages of the people that are in some of the videos, and I was like, oh wow, this is like, just your average person who happened to get picked up for this. That means there's a temptation to fake. There's a temptation to over-sensationalize. There's a temptation to set things up so that they look that way or put them in context or an odd kind of context. He really, and this is both the beauty and the danger of what he does, he puts up videos that are obvious fakes next to ones that potentially have something, right? And then it becomes up to the audience, and he puts it out there for you to decide which one is real and which one is fake. Not in like a, we've done those fact or fiction shows, but rather in a, this could be a good demon or just a Snickers bar.
A Snickers
And then the
bar.
next time it'll be something, and you're like, well, wait a minute, that looked real, but the other one was totally. So what's real, what's not? There's no line. And because there's no line, there's no filter being developed, right? You as an audience member can say, this one I think is real and this one is fake, except for the fact he doesn't give you the tools to make that decision. He doesn't give you the tools to evaluate. He just presents it. And he's widely popular. And you know what? He's seductive too. I understand. I don't think that he's you know what? He's a show host, right? He's not a paranormal expert. He's not any of these things. You can't stop watching. So we watched yesterday, and then that's when it clicked in my head we should do this. We watched it yesterday.
Oh, was it
when I picked up my kids, right? And it was the airplane one, and we watched the rest of that one. It's the one that I posted on the social media today.
the one where it was like the second one or whatever, or like the number 2 spot, and the person was like banging on the door and was like, yo! And then you wait there for like a good minute, and then you're like, yo, let me go check. And he opened the door and he's like, where is everyone?
No. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Remember the one where the guy, like, it was totally fake because there was like the slamming on the door and the guy's like, yo!
Oh, and then he checks like 10 minutes later?
And then he takes like 10 minutes
Well,
later.
that's what I'm saying. Like, let me finish my thought and then we'll get to some of the specific ones maybe a little bit. We watched that one that Devin showed me. We then watched another one while I was making dinner.
That one.
We then put the TV on during dinner and watched 2 more. Until and here's the other part of this. He then had a video, which I guess he has some of these, which is where Ella's
I don't want to talk about this.
Ella's
I don't want
foot
to talk about this.
lettuce goes on.
I don't want to talk about this.
But they had a video
I don't wanna talk
which
about
was
this. I
the
don't wanna-
15 weirdest or 15 scariest ring videos. So we're not
Doorbell.
I won't talk about
Doorbell
specifics.
ringing bell thingy.
You know the cameras. That are on.
Yay!
We're not going to talk specifics.
Yeah,
Don't
let's
worry.
not.
We won't talk specifics. But films shot on a camera, and that was truly terrifying.
It was because can I?
Go ahead.
So all of them
You don't
were
have to
sca-
talk
all
about
of-
what's specific
I know.
if it scares
All
you.
of them were terrifying, but I think the one that really got to me was I can't even. There was an old man.
Older man.
And he had a
Face was
face
covered.
mask on, and he had a hat and everything. He disguised his face, and he comes up to the doorbell, and he goes, "I just wanted to let you know that I've been staring at you through your window. I can't stop looking."
It was truly terrifying because
It was so scary.
he's so just nonchalant about it. Like I can't stop looking at you through your window. Now, are those videos as fake as some of the paranormal ones? Right? Because once again, these things go viral, these things get popular, your hits go up, your monetization goes up, all that stuff. Regardless, they're presented as being true. Well, actually, they're not presented like, here, you make the decision. But because they are so realistic, they make you believe that they're real, and then by association, the other ones are real as well. But I became kind of intrigued by the mythology of some of the stuff that was going on. In that, if you don't have a critical eye, forget about the evidence. If you don't have the critical eye about the backstory, these 2 cousins went into a house that was said to be haunted by a demon who had purple eyes, right? If you're just in a storytelling mode and your critical brain, which he doesn't foster, is not turned on, and you don't question, well, wait a minute, how do people know that mythology, right? Or how do they know that story? Stories of haunted houses, stories of roads, cliffs, suicide forests, right? What's the one Devin watches?
What do you mean?
What's the one Devin watches?
What do you mean?
So-
Sam and Colby.
Sam and Colby, right? Same kind of thing. And we can even kind of
Logan Paul and Jake Paul.
we can see that she can rattle them off. We can even kind of clump in there BuzzFeed Unsolved, right? Although it's much more polished, it kind of does the same thing, which is it takes the bare minimum of paranormal knowledge and mythology and goes out there and draws you in and teaches you, right? These are teaching shows. If you look at something like Colby and who? Sam and Colby. If you look at BuzzFeed Paranormal, they have their devices in their hand and they go, okay, here's what this device does. Here's how we're working it. Here's how it works. It goes off, right? If you look at the narrative of the videos when Dylan is presenting these, he'll say things like, do I have to do the voice every time I do him?
No.
He'll say things like, here's an EMF meter. The EMF meter is known to hit on that side when someone is frustrated or someone is annoyed. Here is smoke. Smoke is a signal that a ghost is angry. Like these, not just the evidence, which is startling. The evidence is true or not true or all those things, but the fact that he is putting the significance on it, which often comes into conflict with what real investigators might say, what knowledgeable people might say, puts it out there, and then the people go and they do what he's saying, right? So these videos, which he is reviraling, I just made up a word, reviraling.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Either viraling or reviraling. People are then going to those locations. Well, won't say the location, so people won't go. But it's in this town and on this street.
And he gives us like the exact
And
coordinates.
and also here's the YouTube channel, so you can find out exactly where these places are, right? Which is good. He's citing his sources and all that kind of stuff. But it is extending this idea of demons, especially, but then also what certain things mean. Some of it is so obviously faked, right? Some of it has, it's bad. It's,
Like
but
the
then
one we-
some of it, he'll comment on, I can't see how this is done. Right? Now, he's not doing this. He's been doing this for a really long time.
Do we want to talk about it?
Hold on one sec. He's been doing this for a really long time. So he's not new to the game, right? For someone who's only, I think he's what, like 25 or something like that? He's not old.
He's 23. He turned 23.
He turned 23.
Because I remember he had the balloons.
He's been doing this. Oh, that's right. The balloon, the balloon. Oh yeah, that's right. It showed it on his
The balloons.
on his Instagram that
I'm
he
pretty
had his
sure.
birthday too.
Yeah.
I went to a page that said his birthday too. But it's yeah, he's been in the game for at least I think 7 years or something like that. So he's been doing this for a while. I don't see how this could be faked. Presents it as it's most likely true. It encourages people to fake evidence. It encourages them to say, I can do this too. I can do this. I want to be on that show. But then in watching it, I see that my kids, when we go out legend tripping, they want to investigate like the people that they've seen. So they start yelling at things.
Shut up.
They start now. It is amazing because I started this. Someone was asking me the other day. I'm like 94. Damn, like since I've been doing this, 94, 95. I never went out and did the light experiment, right? Like turn the lights, make the lights do this. But this kind of bang 3 times if you want, you know, and the power and the weight put on not the ghost box, right? But things like the Oculus, the things that are programmed with words. And it says a word. Yeah, you're doing the shame. Yeah. And the passion with which these people are going out and the total lack of understanding, but then also like fear. There's no fear. There's let's go into this dark forest where there could be 23 people who want to kill us and just kind of run around and have fun.
Be like,
Because-
yo, bro, you heard the twig snap over there?
Because that's what they're learning, right? They're not learning. They're not even learning from ghost hunters or like shows that show, and you could agree or disagree with what those shows are presenting as the paranormal. But we're talking about legends here. We're not talking about evidence. What was the one you wanted to talk about?
You know the one.
Which one?
The one that I cried about?
Today?
Yep.
So tell me what happened on the one you cried about.
I don't want to talk about it.
It was legitimate. And that's kind of... There was nothing that I saw for me that was over the top with that from the other ones we had seen.
Yeah, that was the only one. The other ones, they weren't that scary. And it was like, it was one of the videos that were like, top 5 videos that I don't think you can get through. And I was like, these aren't scary.
Wait, whisper in my ear the one that you were having, that you started crying during? Yeah, okay. Good. Okay, so that's, all right, so...
I probably won't be able to sleep tonight.
No, that's fine. And she had to put on Pokemon to, like, calm
Shut
herself.
up.
I don't think that there's anyone that follows
That's
us.
embarrassing.
Okay. Bring it down, girl.
It's a child show.
But it was
Sloppy.
within in the midst of these paranormal things, it was more of a true crime type thing that was very much realistic.
So it was these.
We don't have to
people-
say what it specifically was.
Okay.
I don't want to actually because it was really disturbing. Which is why we shut it off, and we're trying to click because we've got it on the TV over there.
And for some reason it kept like malfunctioning and it would not turn off.
It wouldn't shut off, which was also kind of weird. We know that our local haunted house is not really haunted, although sometimes not. We know that in our logical brain, we know that they don't make sense, right? I was talking to someone this week who said that she had heard her whole life. She grew up in Wachula. And she had grown up hearing that the Bloody Bucket Bridge was named that because they brought African Americans down to the bridge and hung them from it.
Oh no.
And I was like, okay, so where does the blood come from? And there was no answer to that. I'm like, well, normally when people are hung, there's not really blood. Like, you don't associate blood with that, is it?
Because it's just like a quick neck snap. There's no blood.
Right. Well, hopefully.
Or you can struggle.
Jasmine Starr says, spirits will communicate with and however they want to. There's a huge ethical issue that presents itself with many investigative groups and shows. And I think that what this does is this, sometimes, I think I used the word fertile ground before. Thank you, Jasmine. I think I used fertile ground, this idea that, and we talked about it we started talking about the last episode where we were talking about why we didn't do the Home Haunted. That spirits are, let's assume for a moment spirits are real. Then we have this idea, Devin just came out and scared her. We then have this idea of what are you leaving yourself open for with the way that they are doing things. Okay. Right? It makes them more pervious to attack, more able to be attacked. But it also, I think, and this kind of contributes to the first part, it gives them a false sense of what those stories are. When we push things aside or we accept things in that change the way that we think, right? So when the lore changes, and a really good example of this, we talked about it, was that they come back. They get closer and closer. Was this idea that in real time, a ghostly legend in Florida was changing because of the internet, right? And this whole idea of the lights go on, the lights go off, the lights go on, the lights go off, it gets closer until that over the course of 3 years that I had been following the Jeepers Creepers hauntings, that story had changed and incorporated it. Some of the things that are being presented with these videos, and I would love to hear more of like the videos people or the people are subscribing to, or the people are watching, consuming the channels. A lot of these do that, right? A lot of these shows perpetuate or distort the mythology. Is it a bad thing, right? I mean, obviously, like we just were talking about, people maybe leaving themselves open to some kind of weird attack, right? So we've got that element of it. Kids have always had that, right? Kids have always been more likely to have to go off the track.
Thank you for reminding me, Dad.
Trust me, I can tell you, most of my kids over the last couple of days at school feel as if they've got some kind of evil influence. Maybe the evil influence is me. Let's push that aside. Let's flip the coin. Is Dylan
Is chilling.
Art Bell?
What?
Now, she doesn't know what I'm talking about. But is Dylan the new Art Bell?
Art Bell? Elaborate.
Art Bell is the former, now passed away, host of Coast to Coast AM. And he revolutionized paranormal radio.
Okay.
There are so many people who are working in the field today, both in terms of paranormal media, but then also just love ghost stories, love things like that, love the weird and unusual and unexplained, that trace it back to listening to Art Bell. And it's funny because now everyone calls it Coast to Coast, but so many people called it the Art Bell Show back in the day because it was, and he is, Midnight in the Desert, which is now Midnight Society.
Where it's always midnight.
Okay,
'Cause
Midnight
it's
FM,
Midnight
where you can
FM.
hear us. I would love to say, I hope my Discord goes crazy on this. I would say,
Is that your Discord?
it is not.
Oh, that's
I would say Dylan
is chilling.
is the new Art Bell. Controversial, I know. But if you look at the way that Art presented things, right? So he used to run his show, it's still on for this time, from essentially 1 to 5, right? But it was
In the
midnight,
morning?
yeah, but it was midnight where he was. Although I think it would actually have been 11 where he was. Whatever, right?
Doesn't matter.
Overnight radio. He ran it from his house. There was no screener for the callers. There was no filter, right? And he was open-minded to the point of, all right, what do you got to say? All right, go say it. That a lot of really unusual, probably not true things came through. I remember one of the first times I ever was listening to him. Two times. First time I ever listened to him, he was talking about a shadow man. And it was the first time I had ever heard of, and it wasn't even really a shadow man. I think it was someone who was the Antichrist, who was first seen as a shadow man, and then he manifested fully. This person was someone who was somewhat in the public eye, and the guest, whoever it was presenting this story. He refused to say who the Antichrist was, who the person was, but he presented the entire story, and Art Bell gave him free rein. And I'm not saying in terms of he wasn't a good interviewer, that he wasn't attacking plot holes in what this guy was saying. I mean more of he was allowing him to speak. And rather than saying, if you called Art Bell and you said, so I have a demon with me here right now, Art wouldn't say, hang up on you. He would say, okay, so try to get the demon's name. What is the demon's name? Why do you think that it's a demon? He would, for the sake of both good radio and open discussion, hold on a second, he would allow the person to have their say. What were you going to say?
Oh, so what's the demon's name?
My name is Steve Goatman.
I don't get it.
Steve Goatman.
Oh, the Goatman. Okay. All right. Steve Goatman. All right.
Steve Goatman.
Second time I listened to him, it was a politician who was running in, I think it was in New Mexico, or was it Nevada? Like it was one of his states. And as the conversation was going on, she was talking and this noise, or like, right? And he went, no, it wasn't Mario Brothers. It was just like a crackle, like knock kind of thing. And he went, oh, they're tapping your phone. They're tapping your phone.
Oh my
Right now,
God.
I'm like,
Oh my God.
well, why would they need to tap her phone when she's on a national radio show? But this idea that for open discussion, for the sake of being able to present a story in its fullest, and for ratings, he let people have their way. Keep in mind, this is before I was thrown off of Coast to Coast AM.
Yeah, and they probably be like, it's like that thing when, because Chills, he talks a lot about like, and the camera quality went fuzzy because there's somebody standing in front of him. That could be your crappy camera, or it could be a demon. Wow.
Right, and the fact that it's, first of all, that it's given airtime, and that it's not given a total, even the ones that are ridiculous. Okay, so we were talking about Hornhead, what's his name? Siren Head. We're talking about Siren Head. Siren Head, right?
Oh, and the one that he placed in like the first spot was like the most CGI thing I've ever seen. Like the most filtered.
For those of you who don't know who Siren Head is, he's and it's out there that it's totally fake, right? Like it's out there, much like Slender Man, you can trace the evolution, and you can trace the birth and then the evolution. Slender Man, different story. I believe that's tapping into something that's much more ancient, but not Siren Head. You can track when Siren Head was first created, and then kind of the evolution of it. And Siren Head, these Siren Head videos they range from.
So, if you don't know what Siren Head is, it's just gargantuan.
You don't have to grab the mic. You can get
gargantuan, like 40 foot. I'm not quite sure how
40
tall.
40 feet is what was presented in that show.
Yeah, 40 feet tall thing, and it's slim. It's very slim, like slim as a pole. And yeah, it is a character from the game, and it has like long fingers. And the reason it's called Siren Head is because it doesn't have a head. Instead, it has two giant horns on the top of its head, or sirens. And it said that when Siren Head is hunting, that you can hear a siren, and it's like an infamous sound on like TikTok and stuff. It's like doo 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 doo, like that.
Only some of the ones in those videos were the Amber Alert.
Yeah, some of them can like change.
Ones, okay. And which, by the way, if you're 40 feet tall and you're hunting, and the fact that people know you're hunting is you're blowing a huge siren, not the best hunter.
Also, Siren Head, I'm pretty sure, is a creepypasta. Don't quote me on that, though.
So started on creepypasta, then moved to a video game?
I think maybe.
That's the information that I got as well. Was that it started as a creepypasta, and then moved on. But it's so ridiculously fake. However, for me personally, I'm like, I don't even get the appeal of it. But people do, so I would never crap on someone else's legend. But these videos range from obviously fake, like
the CGI one.
There is Siren Head. Like, I mean, and you can see like the hand moving it, to something moving in the camera shot where it's wooded, where the person was looking for Siren Head, so it must be Siren Head. And all of them were given weight. Like, even presenting that as, here are true Siren Head sightings, gives weight to the idea that this is a real thing.
Like, there was one of them that he placed pretty high on the list, and he said that he believed it was real. It was of the lady, and she had her phone with her. And so you know the videos that you can tell when the person is faking it because they pretend to go to take a picture and then something happens in the background and they're like, oh my god! So this happened. So she picks up her phone, she's like fixing her hair or whatever, and Siren Head just goes in the background.
Right.
And she's like, but like, you don't take a video if you're taking a picture.
Boils down to, it's presented as real, right? And then when you take that and you put it alongside Slenderman videos, evidence videos, true crime videos, ring videos, foot lettuce videos,
Lettuce videos.
all those kinds of things. He's giving the mic to our emotions, right? He's giving the mic to our fears and doing it the same way Art Bell did, right? These things. She's not going to listen to a radio show for 4 hours, but she'll watch a 20-minute video showing 15 things that are probably not true. And the funny thing is, I've noticed this phenomenon. I've fallen victim to it myself. You watch a lot of episodes of Criminal Minds.
Yes, I have. I watched it.
No, I'm not saying you
Not a
have
lot.
watched. I'm saying
not a lot.
it's an editorial you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not actually you.
Editorial me.
You watch a lot of episodes of Criminal Minds. You watch a whole bunch of true crime shows, and you're then watching something about a serial killer, and you go, "That's not even true," because and you spout some information about it. A little knowledge is a bad thing. I know a lot of true crime fans who I would consider near experts. Like, they have a degree in criminology from what they do. But I also know a lot more people who watch a significant amount of shows, fictionalized shows even, and then apply that to real life situations and start to see patterns in crimes that are going on and things like that. And they always go like, "Oh, that's not true, and here's why," right? Or, "Oh, you know what that means." Like, how many times you've heard, he wet the bed and he started fires. He had to be a serial killer because that's a signifier of every serial killer. And you're like, well, that's a pretty popular thing. It's been put out there. That's not the only indicator of a little knowledge is a bad thing, and therefore they are watching true crime things or watching TV shows, tearing them apart because of that. One thing that I noticed with my two, and I was shutting my mouth because I wanted to see what they did. I like to think I have two critical kids, right? You're very sarcastic and scathing, but also really rational, right? Except for when something happens and you go off the deep end. But you're pretty much like you look at something and say, because you have that almost pessimistic view on things, that everything in the world is wrong and fake.
It is.
That you can say, "Oh, that and that aren't true," or "What about this? This does this," and that's not how it really acts. You were tearing the videos apart. Well, they could have just done a chicken wire and then or a fishing wire. Devin's the same way. Devin's actually gotten better with that kind of thing and pointing out he used to just believe everything. Still does to some degree. They were sitting back watching these videos, being able to, based on
I debunked some of them.
But that's what I'm saying. Based on the knowledge that you got from the very show that you're watching that gave you the knowledge in the first place, other than what Papa gave you, saying why something is not true or why it couldn't happen or something like that. In other words, you felt like an expert. And that knowledge that shows channels like Dylan and Colby, what Colby is
Sam and Colby.
Sam and Colby, and what's the other one?
Jake Paul and Logan Paul?
There. What they give you is enough to be dangerous. And by dangerous, I don't mean like life-changing. But we think we know more. They think they know so much about the paranormal, right? And they know these things for sure, 100%, right? So a really good example is, as soon as BuzzFeed Unsolved, paranormal, supernatural or paranormal? Supernatural. As soon as anything is a kid, they automatically assume it's a demon.
Yeah, they're like, oh.
Any kid, anywhere that's a ghost is a demon.
And they're like, oh, this spirit is posing a kid, and there's been multiple reports of kid. It's a demon. It's a demon, guys.
Demon's
it's a
kid.
demon.
Yeah, and Jen says that, you try to present and you try to pass on, as she says, reasonable points of how to debunk some of this stuff. And I think that the way that, and I don't know if you've ever watched Dylan, I can't remember if you said you did, but the way that he presents it, he presents it as, which we do here on Tripping on Legends. It doesn't matter whether it's true. Here's what's out there. Right? And so it doesn't matter. You can debunk it all you want. The fact of the matter, the debunking is part legend anyway, right? It's part mythology. It's part folklore. But also, he debunks in. I hate the word. Why'd you have to make me say the word debunk? You know, I hate that word.
Debunk.
But he says why it's not real, right? He says why he thinks it might be real. But then he always kind of like says, or who knows, or it could be a monster from beyond. So he kind of hedges his bets on it. So he does offer information, but the whole fact of the matter is not whether it's real or not. It's the fact that this is what's being consumed, and now people think that they have knowledge. People think, and here's the best part. I think that he's needed.
Who?
I think that Dylan. And I'm not saying this hoping to get a little bit of his 5 million and 2 million viewers. He is 100% what is needed at this time in this world with this audience. I'm a 45-year-old man, and I was like this, and I knew what I was watching was not real, and I knew what I was watching was not. Accurate. I'm not going to say accurate. I knew it was fiction, right? I loved it.
So
I loved
entertaining.
it. We've watched 10 of them at least in the past
2 days.
36 hours. We only shut it off because one was really disturbing and Ella was getting upset, and that was not the purpose of our research for tonight. Although it was a little bit. I like the fact you cried. That helped.
Wow, Dad.
I try to make you cry as much as
You're
possible.
so nice.
The idea of it is that it is going back to what Colleen said at the beginning. He is not an authority. He's not an expert. I'm not going to go so far as to say an idiot, right? But he's not an authority, right? He has a style that might be, but guess what? He's not stupid. Even for a kid, he's not stupid. That's not his real voice. To anyone below the age of 40 is a kid to me now. I'm so old. But he's not. It's all a show, right? That's not the way he talks. I'm sure he's not talking to his girlfriend. I want to make love to you. Like it's not how he talks all the time. But yeah, I agree. I find him entertaining. And he is presenting the next generation and the next generation their link. He's giving them their link to the bigger folklore, the bigger mythology, which they're not getting any other way. She's never been to camp. I thought there was a camp. She's never been to Camp Crystal Lake.
No, I don't.
You have never slept over with any of your cousins ever, right?
No, because my cousins all live up north.
Right. I think maybe randomly she might have been sleeping in the same house as cousin Alex.
Yeah. Or
not.
Because I remember the one time that I slept and you took a picture of me because I was sleeping like this.
It was pretty funny. She's not she does have sleepovers with her friends, and these things are spread, but guess what? You know how they're spreading them? They're going online and watching it together.
Yeah. So there's a game online, and me and Ellie played it when I came over, when she came
Get a little
over.
into this camera, because this camera can't see you.
Hi. And it's something terrible. I swear. It's called Take This Lollipop. And it's an auto-generated thing. And it's the same every time, which means it doesn't change, doesn't record anything from that site does not record anything. So it's basically this whole thing is like there's something coming for you, each person in the call, and then like at the end, like the girl's like and she turns into like this old man, and then it goes, and it's really
The jump scare kind of thing. And
It
so
was-
you guys watched
did that,
it?
and
You
then
watched it, or
No, I did not watch it because
Okay.
I gave the computer to her.
Um,
And then we watched the prom.
And you did that like not at my house, right?
Yeah, it
Okay,
was
good.
one like a couple weeks ago.
Okay, that's fine, as long as I can't be blamed for that. So we have all the elements of it, right? We have the community because people watch these videos together, and the phenomenon I can't understand, but I guess I can in the context of all this is people watching videos of people watching videos of people watching videos. That's
My friend.
that's a version of telephone. However much it annoys me, and I'm like, why would you watch that? It really is. It really is being a link in that chain. Hold on one second. Let me make my point, and then you can totally. It's got the challenge aspect of it, right? The same as I dare you to sleep in that cemetery tonight. It's got that element of it of like, I dare you to watch this video all the way to the end. It's got this, we're not supposed to be doing this thing that inspires a lot of legend trips, which then inspires legends themselves. And it forms a community around doing this. It gives you a campfire to sit by. 5.5 million people are watching these videos, right? More than that, because I watched it, I wasn't subscribing, right? I didn't even look at how many hits some of these videos have gotten. Those are just subscribers. What were you gonna say?
Never mind. I was
Okay.
gonna say about somebody reacting to somebody reacting to somebody reacting to somebody reacting.
Okay.
Because my friend showed me a video.
Right, and it does that, right? And it's, but that is merely their version of the storyteller. And guess what? It seeps down because if you're my age, if you're 45 years old, and you don't think that the people who are writing scripted shows and movies and running radio shows, things like that, are not 20 years younger than us, they are. And they're the ones who are growing up and who have been exposed to this kind of stuff. And so therefore, they're perpetuating what they learned. The old people, it's not like back in the day where it's like, gather around, children. And the older generation passed the legend down this way. We're still doing that, but not nearly as much. Instead, it's this younger generation coming up this way, feeding how we change. To the point that I've talked to investigators who are talking about some things that are, I'm like, where did you hear that? I heard it on this show. I heard it on that show. And I'm like, oh, okay. Those shows are being produced by 23-year-old kids. Some of the shows like Paranormal, Caught on Camera, at least it's keeping phenomenon on the radar to the general public. That's what we write, and that's what Ghost Hunters did, and this whole wave of shows that came after that. Things became dramatically different, good or bad. It gave people, it made the discussion come out. And these videos are, thank you, Jen, for that comment. These videos are an extension of that. And the smartest of the people, because I'm looking at Jasmine's thing about critical thinking, the smartest of the people will put it in its proper case and push it away. And the people who still think you can levitate someone by saying, lies, feathers, stiff as a board, and it's
the fact that we both know that,
right? Those people are still going to be doing that, thinking that it's actually levitating them, and they've somehow harnessed the forces of the universe to do it.
the fact that we both know that.
Well, you being my daughter, you should know that.
Yeah, and then like a guide too.
And that's the way the story changes, and that's the way the story gets spread. And so, in addition to putting him in that link, and he's probably the best of the ones that I've seen. I don't like the other ones that just go into a place and scream a lot. I like him because he's distilling and presenting. He's Art Bell. He is what is. I'm not saying in terms of intelligence or in terms of experience, but in terms of presenting that open mic for people to present these ideas and then challenging you as the audience to do it. It's a comparison that I think is fair, and I love it. I like it. I think it's neat, and I think it's necessary. So, if you are on Instagram,
Hi.
to follow Dylan is Chillin', why not scoot on over to Spooky Tripping Yeah, Spooky Tripping. And like our Instagram and follow our Instagram page. That's Spooky Tripping on Instagram. On Twitter, it is at Spooky Balzano. The website, which is being updated now daily, right? I'm able to put stuff up there daily, is trippingonlegends.com. And of course, on Facebook, facebook.com/trippingonlegends. I'm going to have more updates coming in on that show for This Town is Myth, for the Ocala research, which has kind of heated up based on some other things that have happened. Don't know about the book, but the research is, as well as Boogeyman, which I don't know if that's going to be the official name, but it's kind of officially launching to some degree. Maybe not on air. I'll talk to you after. Which one I was talking to you about before, with a little
Miss Panasophicy?
Yeah.
Okay.
All that stuff you can follow, and you can follow the progress of it on Tripping on Legends, so it's worth going there. Anywhere you get your podcasts, whether it's through iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, make sure that you're finding Tripping on Legends. Make sure that you're subscribing, and make sure you leave us a review. I would love to see. Don't leave a total negative review, but at least give like a 4-star review and tell us why the show is amazing. And then tell someone about it, right? If you're not sharing Tripping on Legends, your friends are missing out, and they're not going to like you for it when they find out. So you might as well tell them now about it. And of course, every Tuesday, in addition to being on Facebook Live at facebook.com/trippingonlegends, we are also on midnight.fm.
Where it's always midnight.
So you can catch us any of those ways. You can make sure that you are finding your way. You can call anytime, tell us about the legends that are moving you. Yes, I do things when you're not here, oddly enough. Stay in touch with us. Keep in touch with us. Let us be part of your legend. Let you be part of, so that you can be part of our legends. For Christopher Balzano
and Ella Balzano, here's hoping that
our legend.